Parenting is not what it used to be, thanks in part to new technology, new expenses, and new expectations. But with America's birth rate at a historic low, how can our society encourage parents to have more kids? A new book called Family Unfriendly attempts to answer that question. I recently spoke with the author, Tim Carney, about his book and how culture plays an important role in helping families grow and flourish. Tim, thank you so much for joining us. In your new book, you look at the trials of modern parenting. Is parenting really harder than it used to be?
In a lot of ways it is, and in a lot of ways that's imposed by parents on themselves and by our culture. The economics is a factor here, but it's not really much more expensive to raise children now than it was 30 years ago, but we have so many fewer kids now. I mean, you've seen the numbers, millennials, Gen Z, they're not getting married as much, they're not having babies, and it's not for a lack of desire. They still want 2.7 babies is the ideal, but they're having 1.6, 1.7. So a lot of it is just the expectations. Parents are putting in so much more time. They're driving their kids to travel sports. They're getting convinced that the whole point of, teaching your kid an instrument is that they become a virtuoso. And so the culture really is imposing costs on parents that don't really make happier kids, that don't make happier parents, and that I think is driving down the birth rate.
Well, you talked about birth rates. They're on a downward trend in many developed nations, including here in the United States. What do you think would actually incentivize people to start having families? Not necessarily money, but culturally. What would help millennials get over this fear of perfection?
So it's exactly that. It's a lot of it just is going to come down to anthropology, to philosophy, to faith. What do you think is the purpose of raising kids? Is it to have a super high achieving child? Are you a failure if your kid doesn't get into college or doesn't, end up playing D1 sports? No, I really think what has to change is the broader culture has to say, we will support you raising kids because that's good. I saw this in Israel, and it's no coincidence that Israel is a country with its faith right in the middle, but it trickled out. Even secular Jews in Israel have a much higher birth rate than Americans or Europeans do, and that's because the faith trickles out into the culture, and the culture says, we will support you raising kids. It's not an individual undertaking. It is a societal undertaking to help you raise kids, and I think that has to be informed by faith, and it's no coincidence that religious Americans have a lot more children. Those who go to church every week, they have a lot more children than the average American.
Well, let's dig into that faith question, because as hard as it is to raise children in today's culture, it's a unique challenge to raise Catholic children. Research shows fewer and fewer cradle Catholics carry their faith into adulthood. Why do you think so many Catholic parents struggle to pass the faith on to their children?
Well, they're up against the culture. We tell our children, my wife and I, we have 6 kids, and we tell them when they're, by the time they're in elementary school, we say, there's a lot of things the culture thinks is bad that we know are good. There's a lot of things the culture thinks is good that we know are bad. We are supported by communities and institutions, great Catholic schools, great Catholic parishes. And I think a lot of Americans think, okay, well, raising kids is that's what mom and dad do. It's an individual undertaking. But what we need is really strong parishes and really strong schools that support us in this undertaking, whether it's teaching Catholic teaching or just keeping smartphones and social media out of their hands. Parents can't do that alone. So I actually say the real burden is going to land on churches. Does your parish make sure that it's just something as simple as the parish picnic, there should be, if it's $5 a head, it should be $20 a family, doesn't get any bigger, up to tuition, up to saying we're not going to ban schools, and just going out of their way to welcome new parents into it so that everybody sees, oh, wait a second. They want us to have kids. They want us to bring screaming babies to mass. I think religious a lot of parishes aren't stepping up. We've been blessed with parishes and schools that do. That's what Catholic parents need right now.
Well, Tim, one thing is parish structures, and another thing is the model that parents provide through their own faith. Research from the Center for Applied Research in the Apostolate found that one key to raising lifelong Catholics is ensuring faith and prayer play a vital role in the home. How can the church equip parents to evangelize in this way?
I mean, this is one of the cases where, A, we have to remember you can't outsource it to Catholic schools. Parents are the primary educator of children. And B, one of the key things is lectures, homilies, they don't work as much as actual action. And so I think if parents there actually need to lead by example. I'm saying this and thinking of all my failures on this front, but lead by example. Make sure your children know that you are men and women of prayer, and when you have difficulties, that you take them to God. That's going to have the most evangelizing effect of anything.
Well, Tim, we're looking forward to reading your book. I know I am, and I know parents will find it a great resource. Thank you for your faith, and thank you for your commitment to this.
Thank you so much.
Tim Carney's new book, Family Unfriendly, will be available at major book retailers this Tuesday.